So I'm going to be doing videos all day. So I may upload 1 or 2 or 3 more depending how I go. All I know is I'm tired and I'm trying to avoid panic attacks. Because I'm feeling guilty that I'm not out in the yard. I'm afraid, right? They feed off of that fear. And also too, I should be working on Auntie Shmay's lawsuit. Hold on. Okay, itchy throat. I've only been around sick people. Tisha was sick for like 2 weeks. Alex took me out shopping yesterday. He's been sick. Little May's been sick. Besides that point, this is what I have left from the last time I did this. And I started doing this a couple of years ago. And my kids also use this. But they don't use it all the time, but like my son wasn't working there in the winter for a few weeks, right? 5 weeks or whatever it was. So, he was using this. This is a 1/4 cup. That's all you need, people. Right? And even then, if times were tough, you could go half that. Oh, hold on a minute. Okay, so this is going to be an all-dayer, people. Again, fight off those panic attacks. Currently, what I've got going on is remember when I was outside there 2 days ago and I got that old tent material that's been sitting outside for however long? For years. I got it from somebody else and the thing was sitting outside. Came from the little house. Anyway, I got it in the bathtub right now. I rinsed it off really good, and, and I've got it soaking in some of my back in the day old soap with a little bit of bleach, and do that, soak it for about an hour. Then I'm going to rinse it, wash it, rinse it, and then I'm going to do it again one more time, dry it, and then I'm going to use that for the rails that I need for Amari, right, so he doesn't shimmy off the bed, break a bone if he falls. And I'm also going to use the vinyl fabric to make rubber pants. Anyway, based on this, right, this is what they provide per load. You put it into a measuring cup. It's less than a 1/4 cup. It's half of a 1/4 cup. So whatever that is, right? Just a little more, right? Not much. So now I'm going to take this. I'm going to put it in that bucket. I may do 2, just because I don't have time to be fooling around. I'll just make 1 big bucket, and then I know I'm good to go. So I'll probably do 2 of those to 1 of these anyway, and at least a whole bar of that stuff, but you have to shred it. And then it's best when you fill up your water to have it on warm and put your soap in so that that can dissolve before you put your clothes in. And then this way, if you do a 1/4 cup with what I make, it's like primo stuff and it lasts for years. Okay, people, so basically what I'm doing here is I'm cutting celery. Well, obviously I went out shopping yesterday, and, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people are in denial. I think a lot of people are in panic mode. I think the whole truth and nothing but the truth is not being told in terms of those 40 million below the poverty line, and then all those other millions of people that are below 80,000, because 80,000 and up, well, a few years ago was considered middle class, but it's more like 200,000 now and up in order to be considered a middle class. But we'll just cap it at 80,000. Anyone under 80,000, for the most part, is in panic mode, I'm sure. Going deeper into debt, as our governments now are lending us money lending us money to compensate for their decisions, apparently, where these people that are getting this money are going to have to pay it back. Okay? Even though this is a man-made crisis, people. Like, this, it's just, I can't believe how a government can manipulate millions of people on the big boogeyman, right? I'm more scared of the public union sector people, city officials, bylaw officers, you know, police, right? The courthouse, you know, the Andrews, the Dragon, Andrew the Dragon, right? Obviously the healthcare staff, Fraser Health Authority and all those other health authorities. I'm more afraid of those people than I am to do with the coronavirus. Okay? I mean, every waking day of your life before the coronavirus came, and if you know anything about the cycle of life and death, 1 minute you're here, and then poof, you're gone, and the only thing that moves is you. And everything else stays the same. Right? I said it with Uncle John, and I sure in the hell said it with Shmee. So anyway, I don't know if there's going to be vegetables in a few months from now. So after I'm done this, I'm going to take you down into Auntie Shmee's room. I'm going to open up the fridge down there because I have to sort things out and organize it and put it away correctly. And I'm going to show you what I bought just in case this stuff carries on for 1 to 2, 3, 4 months. I'll be perfectly fine. But I have a sneaky feeling that when things start to get back to normal, whatever that new normal is, if you think the cost of food is expensive now, wait. Wait. Okay? That's why I bought this celery. Because I'd rather have some celery dehydrated to put in with my chickpeas or with my split peas or whatever I want to put it in than to have no celery. Now, mind you, I got old food stores downstairs that I can get into, and because they've been sealed up tight for years, I'm pretty sure they're going to be perfectly fine, right? Because, again, your nutrients are retained 85% right into the food itself when you dehydrate it, right? And I remember last year, I don't know, it was in the summertime, or it was at some point last year. I can't remember exactly what time of year it was. All I know is that celery, for a stalk of celery, right, just one stalk of celery, was like $7. $7 for a stalk of celery. So, anyway, these ones were $1.49 a pound. And I don't need onions. I still have lots and lots and lots of onions around the house. Right? And I'm pretty sure I have celery downstairs from back from 2011, 2012, sitting up in my original food storage area. Right? So I'll probably look for those, open them up, and just see how they held up all these years. And if they're okay, which more than likely they will be, I'll start using them. And then these ones, after they're dehydrated, I'm going to put them as a replacement. So that if worst case scenario happens, I have them. Because even in hard times, you want to have nutritious, tasty food. And celery is always good to have in soups. So basically that's what I did. I bought a bunch of celery, 4 stalks. I don't know how much I paid for them. All I know is they were $1.49 a pound. And that was pretty cheap. So I bought 4 stalks. And I'm going to dehydrate at least 3 of them. Okay? And then I'm going to put them in a jar. And I'm going to seal them up as best as I can. And before I eat these ones, I'll go get the ones that are downstairs because I'm pretty sure there's some down there. I just have to find them and I know where to look. And I'll use those ones first. But if I can't find them, then I'll use these if I need them. And I'm feeling pretty good about that, people. But the thing is it really necessary to be stressing out the public like this? Right? You know? They're coming in with all these, I don't know, bailout packages for this, that, and everything else. But at the end of the day, it's not going to be putting food on the table for people who really need it. Right? And if you can't find food, I don't know. So while you still can, I guess this is what I'm trying to say. While you can still find things, even maybe it's not something that you really need or want, or you think you... Doesn't hurt to buy a little extra, and if need be, dehydrate it in your oven if you don't have, what is it called? A food dehydrator. Right? Just put your oven at 170, right? Leave your door open a little bit so the air can circulate. Put a knife in there to keep the door open, right? And dehydrate your food, right? 170, 190, turn it all around. After it's all dehydrated, put it in a container, store it, and you're good to go. Because I'll tell you something, if they were selling celery at $7 a stalk last year, and we weren't even in a crisis, I can't imagine what they're going to try and sell the same celery this year after we come out of this. Because we'll come out of it, people. This is just a test run. Okay, this is just a money grab. This is just a means to condition people to not go in with lawyers, to check up on their loved ones, and to take for face value what these healthcare professionals are feeding you with a gun pointed at you as you're walking through the hospital halls to make sure that you don't challenge their authority. Okay? They will accuse you of this. They will falsely accuse you of that, because that's how they operate. They will criminalize you over petty shit, right? Just to intimidate you so that you submit, right? But, I don't know. Americans are their own breed, right? You know, they're only going to tolerate so much. Right? You got your 3%ers. You got your militias. Well, which is kind of like the 3%ers. Right? And you have your preppers. A lot of preppers in the United States. Right? You know, they're not interested in losing their human rights anytime soon. Okay? So, when you go out, look for a few little vegetables that are on sale. That's all. And just take the time to dehydrate them. Whether you do it in your oven or whether you do it in a dehydrator. And in this way, if things get worse, you'll get a little bit of comfort from it. Because even if you don't eat it now, people, trust me, if you think the cost of food was high before this shit started, we have to play catch up now. Okay? And with, you know, the economy being held up by, you know, the underground economy, because really, that's the only thing that sustains the economy is the underground economy. That's why we have so much laundering of money through the housing market, fentanyl sales, obviously illegal organ harvesting, and whatever else schemes they've got going. You know, Ponzi schemes and, you know, car insurance schemes. That's a big one. You know, stealing old people's assets, stealing their houses. You know, it's not just laundering money through houses, it's stealing houses, stealing property. Like, we really do live in a lawless society. Okay, so the crises, even if it was to end tomorrow, it's not over. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not over, people. This is just a test run to condition the people to be to see they're not, I don't know, how do I say this? I'm kind of tired today. They're documenting how people are responding out in public to each other through these rules that they're bringing in that are like distorted. You know, social distancing. Stand 6 feet away from each other as you're standing in line in a grocery store or in a hardware store or wherever the fuck you go. When I left that little Punjabi store, when I left, I came outside and there was this long ass line outside, people. Long ass line. Everybody's standing waiting to get in. So, you know, if it gets to that point this quick, yeah, you go look for some cheap vegetables and you take the time, no matter how busy you are, and you dehydrate them for yourself. Because you'll save next summer. You'll save this summer, right? Even if you don't eat them right away, sooner or later, you're going to go to the grocery store and they're going to want $10 for a stalk of celery. And then you're going to think about what's in your cupboard and you'll be like, oh, wait a minute. I got that celery that I bought for $4, you know, enough to get me through for several months with a whole bunch of good food. I mean, that's when you'll thank yourself. So that's basically what I'm doing right now. I told you I was going to walk you through the extra work that I created for myself, right? I'm kind of sore because I was lifting up, you know, those big buckets of rocks, and I was carrying dirt over for that white oak, right? And because I'm, what is it called? Out of shape, and I'm getting older, I injured my bones, my leg bone, and Amari is getting heavier too. So holding Amari pushes my body down, and it, you know, it puts pressure on my bones, whether it's my feet, my leg bones. So doing that yard work, when I did that plant and started clearing out that corner, I actually injured my bone. It's my bone. So I'm having a hard time getting up and bending, right? And it hurts. But I normally, what do you call it? Bounce back pretty fast. Not as fast as I used to when I was younger. But my body heals pretty fast. I have a pretty strong immune system because I come into contact with a lot of fucking crud as a hardworking mother looking after a family. Okay? You tend to come into a lot of crud. So you end up getting a pretty good immune system out of it. That's the only thing I can say. So, okay, so I'm going to show you, well, I don't really need to show you, but I'll show you. Hold on a minute. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4 trays. I still have one full stock left in the fridge, and I've got a little bit left over that I'm going to start a chicken broth, people, because what's the best medicine for a cold or a flu? It's chicken soup. Right? So I'm going to make up some chicken soup, right? Honestly, I would prefer to make the chicken soup and take the time and can it, but I'll make it, and I'll make sure I'll make a big pot, and I'll freeze a little bit in some jars, so that if I start getting sick, because like my immune system's down, people, trust me, working out in the yard like that, as fast as I was put out in that yard, okay, under slave conditions, okay, I'm feeling it, okay, I'm not, like, you know, my bones are becoming, what is it called, brittle, you know, and I don't, you know, I don't have a very good diet, right, in terms of, yeah. Anyway, I'm going to start that, and then, because I bought, hold on a minute, I'll show you. Did you take a bag? No, here it is.
Ooh, pepper.
Yeah.
I'll like one raw.
Okay, well, just wait. $2, $2, people. $2. $2. $2. $2. Now I have some of those in jars. I'll pull them out, some of them. They're really, really nice. They hold well after they're dehydrated. You know, I've shown you that in past videos. Only because it was $2 and we don't know what's going to happen. So I'm going to cut those up and then put them in my other little dehydrator. And I'm going to dehydrate those as well. And if I go out again shopping, which I'm going to because there's something else I want to look for. I only need 1 or 2 more things, that's it. You know, if I come across something like that, you know, that's when you want to just kind of buy it and process it. However you're going to process it, because I'm going to tell you right now, give it 6 months to 8 months, and more than likely the cost of food will probably be skyrocketing just to recoup the losses of what's happening right now. Because even though these federal governments are
excuse me,
helping out small businesses and corporations and all that crap, students with student loans, everybody is still expected to pay the money back, people. Okay? So this is like forced lending. You are being forced to take on credit due to no fault of your own, as you are being denied access to your loved ones because there are no lawyers to protect human right issues when it regards the public union sector and the criminal activity that is involved with them directly at the expense of using taxpayers' dollars to pay for that criminal activity. Okay, change of plans. There's something wrong with this. So anyway, I'm going to keep the trays. I have another one of these around. I just don't know where it is, where I packed it away. And then I've got this small one, and I've got another small one downstairs, which I'm going to have to bring up when I get into food storage down there. Yeah, because this one here, I don't know, the fan's not working and the element's all red and you can smell it, and so I just quickly unplugged it, and so that one's going to retire. The other thing I just wanted to mention to you, hold on a minute.
Does it not sell cookies anymore?
Anyway, let me talk. Do you see this? This is black walnut bark. Okay? And in that bark is medical properties, people. It's like a disinfectant. So just keep that in mind, right, before you get all panicky if you can't find things to disinfect shit. Maybe you live where some walnut trees are, and you might be able to get, you don't need a lot, okay? Just a little bit to have on hand. And if for some reason, I mean, stranger things have happened, if you can't find any salt after a while, because it gets real bad, here's an alternative. It's a salt rock. That's straight up salt, people. So, look around your environment. You might be surprised what you find. Now, I don't need that because I've got lots of salt. But if it ever came to it, I have quite a few of those things kicking around. Plus, I got a real big salt rock. Right? So, hold on. Okay, so just moving along. I'm pretty tired, people. Anyway, there's that soap. I used this one. I only used 2 of them, people. Okay? Getting up my nose. After you shred it like cheese, you take your hand and then you treat it like a cottage cheese, a dry cottage cheese, or like when you make flour with shortening, and you rub it up just to break a little bit, right? To break up the pieces a bit. Okay? And I've already got that bucket with those 2 items in it, I told you. Right? The, what is it called? The, Arm & Hammer baking soda box thing there, and that concentrated laundry soap. Okay, so now we're going to put this in there, and you'll see. And then if I had to put a cost to this, oh, I don't know. You see? Then you take a spoon and you just mix it in, right? Now I can break up 2 more of those, which I might, right? Probably, because I have lots of it. But I wanted to see first how well it was going to blend in. So you're going to go all the way down to the bottom. I've done this before. It works really well. Preferably start your water, have it a little warm. Put your soap in there so that others, you know, the soap with the glycerin in it, the brown one, right? It has a chance to dissolve. And it works perfectly good, people. There's nothing wrong with it. It works out really well. So in terms of cost, I think that laundry soap is, I don't know. I'll have to see if I can find the receipts. But I'll put $7, $10, $17, and then another $2.50. So a total of, what, $19.50 for 250 loads of laundry. I don't know what that works out per load. Now if I want to, like I said, and I might, I'll just see how I feel. I'm going like this. I'm tired. But I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't have to. That would be, I think, more than enough. Hold on. So, how many of these do you think I'm going to get out of this big ass bucket? And even if I was to use a half a cup for a really dirty load, I'm telling you, this is primo stuff. Okay, so now I'm cutting these. Okay, just because they were cheap, $2 for a whole bowl. I mean, who can get that amount of red peppers? Well, not red peppers, but green and orange peppers, right?
The wage scales are different
for $2
as well. So we are coming out with
so, and I'll probably end up going out yet because there's, like I said, something else I want. So at some point in the next few days, hopefully I'll get out. And then if I get back to that little store, you know, or wherever, you know, I'll probably pick up some discounted vegetables and process them. Because when we come out of this little storm, I think you're going to see a spike in the cost of food. So you might as well prepare for that storm before it gets here. So that's what I'm doing if anyone is questioning why I'm doing this. Okay? I don't really need them because I have them, but in light of the sign of the times. And the nice thing about peppers, hold on a minute. Okay, I'm still videotaping. The nice thing about peppers, you know, take it.
That you can eat them.
The nice thing about peppers is just the flavor, right? You know, and when you dehydrate them, they really do retain their flavor. They last a long time. So, I was listening to the premier of this province with a couple other ministers he has, and they were talking about this one woman. I don't know. It's global news. You know, I may pull it up. I'll see if I can add the link to this if you want to listen to it. But, you know, they're talking about this keeping everybody 6 feet apart from each other. Like, let me tell you something, people. Just don't bug me. You want more? Is that it? Here's a nice fresh one. Okay, I went to the grocery store yesterday. Now that place has been... Okay, go. 'Cause I'm tired.
Just good.
That place has had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people walk through it. People scratching their asses. People picking their noses. People coming in from just wherever they're coming in from. And you've had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people touch everything in that freaking store that you're now shopping in. Okay? I really want people to stop and think about this one. So, okay, now your basket is full and you're at the cash register. So, of course, you put it on, you know, right? And the cash register, the cashier, she starts grabbing the food and running it through to charge you, right? Now, mind you, she's already been running people through for hours, long before you showed up. That's for sure. And there's been multiple items on that, whatever that thing is called, conveyor belt, right? With chicken juice leaking and shit like that. Alright, I get paranoid just over leaky chicken containers. That's so gross when you take a chicken container and it's leaking its juice and you put it on that little thing there. Oh no, I don't like that. If I got a leaky chicken juice container, I ask the cashier to give me a bag. And before I hand it to her, I put it in the bag. And I make sure I don't go around the store touching shit with my dirty hand with chicken juice on it. So, just think of chicken juice as like the coronavirus being spread around that store. While people are separating themselves by 6 feet, right? But yet coming up right behind the person that they're separating themselves from with their own groceries that have been moved around. You know, you don't know where that's been. Just because it was on the shelf doesn't mean it's been sitting there for a month. For all you know, that thing could have been on that and by the time that person got to the end of their food bill, decided they didn't want it because they didn't have enough money to pay for it, and then that item got put back on the shelf, and then you came along and picked it up. So for all this social distancing, let me tell you something, not getting you anywhere. Not what you think. Okay? Because if it's in the environment, it's in the environment. Right? So, but this is a hype. Because I was listening, well, it's a hype for every government. I'm not going to pick on my government. But right now it's just, Andre, will you turn that down, please? More. Andre.
Here you go.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyway, if, tired. Got a long way to go yet, people. After this, I'm going to go downstairs and get the meat. I bought some chicken and some hamburger, and the best way to deal with that stuff when you're throwing it in the freezer is to vacuum seal it. Because if you don't get to it right away and you forget about it, by the time you do get to it, if it's vacuum sealed, it'll be perfectly fine. So I'm not going to be wasting food by being hasty. So, what was I saying? So yeah, like, you know, she going on about how people have to socialize or social distance themselves. Anyway, then she was going on about, I guess some dentist got sick and maybe died out here. I didn't quite catch it. I think he died. Or at least he caught it. And now, no, I think he died. He died because it's under investigation. No, this is so funny, people. It's under investigation with the coroner because this dentist supposedly died under suspicious death. They haven't ruled out coronavirus, but they haven't said it was coronavirus. all I could think about, and it's the coroner who's supposed to investigate people, not the police. That's what she was saying. It was the coroner's responsibility to investigate. Okay? When I was dealing with the coroner kept sloughing it off onto the cops. Okay? So, I don't know who's telling the truth here. So then they moved on. I don't know, people. It's talking about 3 months.
Wait outside.
Well, like, what the heck is going on for 3 months? Right? The majority of people who have died have been in old folks' home. Nobody should be surprised. That's nothing new. Right? This shit happens. People are old. Right? They have other health problems. Right? You know. So anyway, I'm going to turn this off and come back. Hold on. So you see? Easy peasy. So I have to go downstairs and find the other one. My other big one, I don't know where it is. I packed it away, and the other one is broken. So, but I have another small one, so I got to dig that out. Right? When I go put those chickpeas away, I'll get that. Or I'll just put this in the fridge for now with a plate over it. And then, depending on how long it takes me to get this one from downstairs, I can always put those things in there when those things are done. So, and then I've got a little extra. So $2, people. $2. Okay, people. There goes my voice. Okay, people. I am in Auntie Shemaine's room, as you can see. Now, I haven't been in here for a little while because I've been busy. I have to put this mirror up. Right? I set up the desks. I've got a serger here. That's the serger I've had forever, people. Forever and ever and ever. And then I've got a sewing machine there. This serger, I got another one upstairs. But you can see the little cutting table here. I mean, okay. Oh, I did not bring a flashlight with me. Here, it's this little food storage. You can see, you know, I didn't bring a flashlight with me, people. But you can see what's going on in here. I bought a few potatoes, right? Obviously, oh, there's my organic chickpeas right here. Remember I told you I knew there was some in a blue jar. Well, I don't know if you can see that, but there's the blue jar. Let's see if I open the fridge. Yeah, I see. There's the blue jar. So that's got organic chickpeas in it already. You can see how I covered everything up. Remember, if you go back into my videos, and the reason that we do that is because it makes it into a little mini fridge, little mini cold room. Same thing with this down here, whatever I've got down here that, you know, in terms of jars and that type of thing, because I've got, you know, food in there. You can't see it, but anyway, that's what that does, it insulates. So what I'm doing here now, because I'm, you know, getting hypnotized, I bought some chicken, so I've got these 2 chicken here, and then I should have some hamburger in here. I don't know. I seen some upstairs, but hold on a minute. Okay, so ideally, I'd like to buy some more eggs. Right, I've got cheese here, fair amount. I've got these, you can see. I bought some extra sour cream for Amari. Right, I've got cheese, cream cheeses up there. Okay, and then down here is like 5 bags of carrots, which I might end up shredding. And then I've got these beets here, people, which I'm debating whether I should can them or freeze them after I cook them. So hold on a minute. And then in here are walnuts should be already in the ground. Hold on. Okay, so I bought this before I bought this. These ones are already frozen, but like I said, if you vacuum seal, everything just stays better longer, okay? So I'm going to see if I can vacuum seal those even though they're frozen. And then I just simply got a tray of legs because it was fairly cheap, you can see. And some chicken thighs. It was fairly cheap, you can see. So I'm going to break them up into, you know, halves. So that's 4 packs. I'm going to vacuum seal them. And I'm using recyclable, okay? Because this stuff is very expensive. So before I go and use a new bag, I'm going to see if I can reuse these. Obviously, they've been washed and cleaned and dried. And then it looks like I only bought 2. And I don't, you know, this says lean ground beef. I guess that's what it says. And it wasn't too expensive in terms of the package price. So I bought 2 of those. I thought I bought 4. Oh no, there it says limited 2. So I broke down and I bought 2. So I'll probably seal those up. And then here's something here for parents. Okay. Right. I'm gonna lock up my freezer. Already warned my son. I brought these up from downstairs in Auntie Shemay's room because it's a temptation for my son, right? And in light of the times, I have to make meals that can spread out. So something like this with some cabbage and carrots chopped up with maybe little pork meatballs that I can make, because I should have ground pork, but I don't know. Remember I said, Marcaine, take what you want. So, yeah, I'm not sure what's in there right now. But you get the point, right? So hold on a minute. So that's not so bad. I'll go put that now in the freezer. And it did. This is lamb, right? Got on a sale. Look at 3 of them. So this is all reusable bags, people. So it is possible. It takes a little longer for the machine to work, and it's not the best, but it's better than just using nothing, right? So, as you can see, right, it sits nice in there, right? And then, of course, there, I don't know. Hold on. Look at that. Green tomatoes. I'm going to fry up some of those later. And then don't forget, people, I got stuff like this kicking around too, right? Okay, so moving along, I ended up getting, this is like larger crystalled sugar, right? I have some, like in here, you can see, right? And I'm pretty sure I have some in a bin somewhere, but for 10 bucks, right? You know, it's good to have, eh? And then I got a couple of cabbages, but honestly, people, I'm thinking of making some sauerkraut, because if you make it, it'll sit in the fridge for a long, long time. And then, of course, you can mix it in with stuff like that, right? So, and it's, you know, cheap, right? Get it while you can now, because this time, in 6 months from now, whatever I paid for this will probably be double. So if I've got some sauerkraut in the fridge, you know, and make a meal with some onions, and, Okay, so I think I'm going to make some sauerkraut. Got a big jar here. I'm going to use that. I might make them in mason jars, but I'll probably start in this. It's just easier. And then I'll transfer them into mason jars later. So I think I'm going to make sauerkraut maybe with some shredded carrot. Okay? And then these jars, right? I go through them like water. But I bought those beets, and they were organic beets, and they've got the leaves and everything on them. So whether I cook them up, put them in a jar, a little bit of liquid, and then can them, or whether I freeze them, I just think it would be a very good idea. Hold on a minute. Okay, so I measured the cabbage, and I took some old carrots I had, and I brought them up. I didn't want to go back downstairs. So anyway, I got 4 pounds of vegetable here. I shredded the carrots, and now I'm slicing thinly the cabbage, and I'm putting it in a bowl, and I'm going to put, I worked it out there. I have to figure it out again. Anyway, you can see what I'm doing, right? Now, the reason I'm doing this, people, one, because we don't know what's happening. I mean, I'm not no doomsday person here, but, I mean, in my opinion, I think the provincial government, I think all the governments I think everybody's playing games with the public. I really do. You know, it's a money grab, people. They're already threatening to start fining people for fucking talking to each other, standing next to each other. Like, that's total bullshit, right? I went into the grocery store. There's been so many people running through that place, touching this, touching that, breathing on this, scratching their ass, picking their fucking noses, right? You know, going to the till, right? You know, they're touching, they're putting, they're touching, they're putting, you're putting, and everybody's touching. Like, are people that dumb that they not, right? You know, like, you're coming into contact with this stuff, either or. It doesn't matter, right? It's dumb. Standing away from somebody for six feet away, right? Because it's the right thing to do to stop the spread. It's being spread around anyway, right? People carry this shit on their fucking hands, man. Right? That's why you try not to put your fingers in your mouth too much. Unless you wash your hands. When you go out, you come in, you wash your hands. Right? You know, try not to eat food with dirty hands. Okay? You know? You go to the egg section, you don't know who was coughing there, or sniffling, or doing whatever. Breathing. Right? You don't know who was there 2 minutes before you showed up, right? Same thing with going through the cashier lines. Like, this is all propaganda, people. This is hype. This is the government trying to fucking control the population, okay? And they're using the police to scare you, right? As if the police is protecting the public, okay? No, they're protecting a political interest here. That's what they're doing, people. Alright? Like, it's so fake what they're talking about. Right? Everybody knows old people get sick and die from colds and flus. That's no new news. Nothing there. Right? And whether this is spreading so-called fast, right? Oh, that's what concerns me. It's spreading fast. Fast. It's all over the place now. Yeah, well, that's what happens, right? But in terms of the numbers of death worldwide, it's not that bad, right? Fentanyl is worse than this shit, that's for sure. But you don't hear the government talking on about that, right? So, I don't know. People putting up with the old okie dokie because they don't want to stand up against the fucking cops. That's what it is, people. Right? And in Canada, we don't have guns. We can't protect ourselves out here from them. Right? It's not like we can fight back. This bowl is going to be too, I'll just start sprinkling salt on this and bring it down. I'm going to show you something here in a minute. Yeah, I listen, like, it's all politicians talking. That's all it is, them talking, making threats now, right? Making you feel guilty for fucking being a neighbor to talk to somebody in the grocery line, right? They're ignoring the fact that everybody's going around touching everything, breathing on everything, passing things around, right? You know, none of that counts, right? Everything is sterile. When I did that meat, people, that hamburger, by the time I got into that bag, that hamburger leaked, and the bag was all underneath, all gooey, right? From leaked, what is it called? Hamburger? Juice? That's what I mean. You know? It's all getting passed around. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's why when I was out, it was the older men that had more common sense. Serious. They weren't all paranoid, acting like schizophrenics. So, you know, the reason you want to do this, one, is because cabbage, well, it used to be cheap. Not anymore. But it's a superfood, especially when it's fermented. You know, combat scurvy, and all that stuff has vitamin C in it. Although, when you cut into it and it gets into the air, the vitamin C kind of starts to evaporate, right? But, you know, this is a food that can stay in long-term storage in terms of once you ferment it, you can put it into your fridge and it lasts forever. Hold on a minute. Okay, so you remember those? Oh, they're so good, people. That just shows you how long this stuff can last. Okay, this is what I made last time. Last time I checked it, it was pretty good. Okay. Crunchy. Can you hear? It's so good, people. I'm gonna wash that before I put that back. And that's months. Months. It was in Auntie Shemai's fridge for a while when my fridge broke. Oh, it's so good. That's why I'm doing it again, because I'm stocking up. And then these cucumbers, I made what, last year? And these ones are really, really, really good too. I had one jar that didn't make it, but once they set, they're good. They're like so good, people. So good. So basically, I'm just showing you like simple little things that you can do to boost up your, you know, it's like, one, your immune system. This will definitely, if you ferment cabbage, it'll definitely boost your immune system. And, you know, food that can last a long time, right? You know what I mean? Like, sure, you can go off and buy a cabbage, but maybe you might not eat that cabbage right away, right? That's why I'm doing this. I've got one cabbage downstairs. And before I have 2 cabbages in my fridge, because I'm busy, people, I'll be out in the yard, I won't necessarily have time to cook cabbage, right? But that sauerkraut is like so good. Like, you can't imagine how good it is after all these months, right? That was last year I made that, and it's like so delicious. It's so delicious, I want more. So that's why I'm doing this, because we, again, these politicians, they're playing games with us, right? You know? And we can't trust them. That's the thing. We can't trust them. Okay? And it's not even about the politicians. It's about the public union sector in general. Okay? Because it's the public union sector are the ones that actually commit the crimes. The politicians, I mean, obviously they're involved, but they're not in the field, right? So basically it's 4 pounds of cabbage with a little bit of carrot. It was equal to 4 pounds, right? And then for every 1 3/4 pounds, you put in a tablespoon of salt, right? Preferably the Himalayan salt, Celtic salt, right? So I put in 2 tablespoons and a bit. Now, you're really supposed to kind of like for 10 minutes, but you don't have to. All you have to do is mix the salt around, and then I'm going to put a plate over it after I kind of just mix it around a bit more. I did the first half with salt, and then I put the rest of it in there, and then I did the other rest of the salt, right? And now I'm just mixing it around so that salt kind of gets into everything, because this bowl isn't very big. I didn't want to use my plastic bowl, because I used that plastic bowl to do, what do you call that? Soap. Even though I washed it, I don't want to be using it right now. It needs to be washed a few more times. I rinsed off that tent material in the bathtub. I soaked it with a bit of concentrated laundry soap and a bit of bleach, and I've drained it So by the time I'm done, by the end of the night, I am going to wash it in my wash machine after I give it a good shake, make sure all that little bits of leaves and all that stuff is gone. And then I'm going to give it a good wash a couple of times in my wash machine with bleach. At one point, let it sit, right, to restore the fabric in terms of, you know, any mildews that might be in there. And I'm debating at 7 o'clock now. I'm almost done this. After this sits for a while, I'm just going to throw it in a jar and I'm going to weight it down, and then I'm just going to press on it every few hours or whatever it is. And I'm going to let it sit out here on my counter and ferment for a few days. And then I'm going to put them in smaller jars, clean, sterilized, smaller jars. And then I'm going to put them in Auntie Shimei's fridge downstairs. And I may do the other head of cabbage, right? Because the next time I go out, I can always buy another head, right? And then this way, I'll have several jars of this. And because I'll have several jars of this, maybe I'll just start making more meals with it in general, in terms of I can cook this up with some ham or something like that. You don't have to eat it raw. You can cook it up a little bit. So, see, now the cabbage is starting to wilt because of the salt. You can taste it. I wouldn't put any more salt in it. I think it's good just the way it is in terms of the measurement. You see how easy and fast this is going to be? And then I've got those jars down there. So I'm getting kind of tired though, but I got to get back out in that yard because, again, we can't trust our government workers to play fair, right? And I don't think the city's going to cut me too much slack when they come by, right? So I have to go outside tomorrow, providing it's not pissing rain. And these beets are like beautiful beets. So I might end up doing these beets yet before I go to sleep, right? Because I want the leaves, I want the stems, right? I just don't know if I want to be shredding. But I'm kind of making it that way in terms of, like, I have Amari on my mind, people. Right? I really want to can them, but I don't know. This burner. So I'll probably just end up cooking them up, shredding them, cooking them up, put them in clean jars, and then I'm just going to probably freeze them. And this way I know I have them. Okay? I know I have them. Right? And on top of what I already have. But they were like $3.49 for three or four huge, what do you call those things? Organic beets. And some of them with a bit of stem. I couldn't refuse that. And then you save yourself a couple of leaves. You know, take off the bad part of it for the most part. And then you just put it in your jar. So you'll see what I'm doing there, okay? So I'll be back. Hold on. Okay, so if you don't want to rub it for 10, 15, 20 minutes, again, it will start to just, you know, do its own action. If you can see, it's dropping, eh? That's what you want. So I'll stir that around in a minute. Hold on a second. Okay, I want you to listen to this because she specifically says that the coroner is investigating. But when I speak to the coroner people, they say, oh no, it's the cops. It's the cops that are investigating.
At the Lynn Valley Care Center, though unfortunately we do have one additional death from that.
This is old folks' homes.
Hollyburn and Delta View, the German-Canadian house, Dufferin Care Centre, Little Mountain Long-Term Care, and Evergreen Heights,
See?
which
Oh,
we've reported
old
on,
people's
have had
homes.
no change in the number of residents or staff affected at this point. But there has been an increase at Harrow Park, where we now have 28 residents and 27 staff who
old
have been
people.
affected by COVID-19.
All old
Currently,
people.
there are 64 people hospitalized in British Columbia, and of those, 26 are in intensive care unit today. On the positive side, we now have 183 people who have fully recovered from COVID-19 in BC. As mentioned yesterday, the coroner's office is investigating the death of a dentist to determine if this death was related to COVID-19. And I want to express, again, my condolences and my thoughts to his family, who I know are have been extremely affected by this.
Not Shimei, though. Right? She died under suspicious circumstances. And they just ran with it, people. What do you mean by embalmed? I'm a coroner. I don't understand the word embalmed. No. They wouldn't do that. No. It's your imagination. Well, it's for the cops to check up on that.
And it has been a very challenging few days for them. I want to say that the coroner's investigation is ongoing, and I do not have any further details to report at this point.
Okay, you heard that, right? The coroner, she said it more than once, is investigating. Why didn't the coroner investigate the cops? Why didn't the coroner investigate the paramedics? Why didn't the coroner investigate the Surrey Memorial Hospital people? Huh? Why didn't the coroner investigate? You heard it from the Minister of, I don't know, I guess health, right? That's what the coroner does under suspicious deaths. But not the coroner that was dealing with me and her fucking co-worker, another Lucy. And everybody that's dying are old people in old folks' homes. Nothing unusual there.
So we have, as we know, yesterday I was also asked for information on healthcare workers specifically, and whether we had a breakdown of healthcare workers who have been affected by this. And I'm looking right now, I do not have the exact numbers of healthcare workers, unless they're related to the clusters, particularly the clusters in long-term care or in hospital that we've had. So we have those 9 long-term care facility out.
Okay, so basically we're going to be on lockdown for a couple, 2-3 months, because that's what I heard them say. They're giving out rent to people for 4 months, people. That $500 stipend for the ones that are losing their jobs, basically. They're budgeting it in for 4 months. As you've got other premiers across the country threatening to start fining people for talking to each other if they're too close to each other, if they don't stay that 6 feet away. Like, this is distorted reality. Let me go to the grocery store and just touch everything after everybody else touched it before me. Let me go to the grocery store or to the gas pump and put my fucking hand on the gas pump and put some gas into the car. Or let me run my groceries through that little, whatever it's called, along with everybody else's groceries that have been going through that little whatever it's called all day long. All right? And maybe they might wash it here and there like they normally do, simply because some chicken legs were leaking juice, or maybe the hamburger you bought that could have been sitting out on the freaking rigmarole, and then somebody couldn't afford to buy it because they bought too much shit, so it got put back in the cooler, and then you came along and grabbed it and took it back from where it came from. And then go home and start unpacking your groceries after you've had who knows how many people touch it and what it's come into contact with. Like, do you not see how asinine this is? as the person behind you is standing 6 feet away, completely paranoid, ready to fucking attack you. This is a distorted reality, people. Okay? And people are falling for it because they don't want to fight back. They don't want to stand up and say, no, we have human rights. They will let their loved ones be isolated at the Sering Memorial Hospital, hooked up to a fucking ventilator, and die all by themselves as their bodies are being shipped out because they're contaminated with cocaine. Oh, sorry, it's not cocaine, it's the coronavirus. But the coroner doesn't need to investigate that because she's got the cops to do it. Assuming that there's anything to investigate, let's move along. Like, these people make me so sick, people. So fucking sick. Because this is distorted reality. Alright? If I came into contact yesterday from coronavirus, it sure in the hell wasn't by any human being that I came into contact with. Whether I was standing right next to them, gave them a hug. You got people running around desperate for fucking hugs out there because they're, like, being criminalized for going shopping. Well, other ones are ready to fucking kill you for going shopping. And this is what our government's called good governance? Only because they got the cops sitting down there watching my videos ready to pounce. Because I'm a dissenter. Because they didn't do their fucking job in the first place, and I call them out on it, okay? Right along with their fucking partners in crime. There's a book for you to write. No, it's like bullshit, people. If I came into the coronavirus, okay, it would have been in the grocery store with everybody touching everything. It would have been when I went through the cashiers between 4 different freaking grocery stores and 1 hardware store. Okay, that's where I would have gotten the coronavirus. Not from somebody chatting with me in fucking line. What, I'm going to go to Canadian Tire and stand next to somebody versus stand back 6 feet, and then we're going to have Soul Patrol come up and charge me $1,000 for having a conversation with somebody? When that person wanted to talk to me and didn't see me as the ulterior threat to his life? When he could very well see what the fuck was going on in terms of government, rogue governments, taking away human rights, gonna make people die by themselves based on some lie that they were on a ventilator. Please think about Shemaine and see through the lie.